একবার চেক করবো হচ্ছে কি লাইভ শুরু হয়ে গেছে কি?
হ্যাঁ শুরু হয়ে গেছে, এই তো।
আপনার চ্যানেলে আছে না, দেখে নিচ্ছি অ্যাডমিটটা।
ক্লাসটা কেউ রেকর্ড করবে? নেটওয়ার্ক খুব প্রবলেম।
হ্যাঁ 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 লাইভ হচ্ছে, অসুবিধা নেই।
ইমেল চেঞ্জ করবো? হ্যাঁ কর। So what I was explaining, these two are the new operators introduced by the Python that was not available in any other programming languages like C, C++. So what they does, so star star is equal to exponential, or rather it is power. So like a star star b is actually a to the power b. Okay, and this one is equivalent to integer division. What does that mean? Suppose if we have 3 divided by 2, the result is, what is the result? 1.5. Okay, but if we use 3 integer divisible by 2, so the result will be 1. আরে 50টা ইমেল আইডি
ও
এসে
লেখা
গেল।
আসছে নাকি ইউটিউবে?
লেখা আসছে না?
হুম?
ঠিক আছে, তাহলে বন্ধ করে দাও, লিখবো না।
আর লেখা আসছে না, লেখা
আসছে না, ঠিক আছে। So arithmetic operator star star. So what it does, it actually do something like this. So just create a new code area. Suppose print 2 star star 3. So it will be 2 to the power 3. So the result will be 8. So the star star means the power operation. So we don't have any pow function, or we don't have to use any function to have this power in Python. And then again, this integer division, what does that mean? So suppose print 5 divided by 2. So what will be the result? It will be 2.5, right? And if we print 5 integer division 2, the result will be 2. So it take the quotient as the result, and this one finds the remainder, and this one finds the quotient. So this is the integer division. uh, and if we just convert this result 5 divided by 2 into an integer, so it should be, the answer should be same. So as you can see, it is 2 and 2. Okay, so then I don't think there is any need to explain this comparison operator, not equal to operator, less than, greater than. So logical operators are same as well. So we might check this identity operators, is and is not. So here is an example. So suppose x equal to a tuple, or rather this is a list. So a list of two values, so apple and banana, and y is equal to same apple and banana. So when we assign z is equal to x, uh, so what is your opinion, what should happen here? So when we assign z is equal to x, what should be the operation, or what is the internal structure should be in this particular case? What is your opinion? Anyone?
আরেকবার বলুন স্যার,
শুনতে পেলাম না।
So what I am trying to say, we have two variables x and y. X is assigned with a list apple and banana that has two elements, apple and banana, and y is also apple and banana. So both the list have same value actually. So what I am trying to say here, whenever we are going to execute this z is equal to x, what should be the operation here? Whether these values
copy
will
hoye
be so generally what we like, so whenever we write z is equal to x, we like to have a copy of this value into this value, so that we can modify that particular object or something like this. But that is actually not happening here. So we will take a look at this example. So print x is z, so this is the identity, so it will check for the identity of the object. So what identity operator does, are used to compare the objects not if they are equal, so it doesn't check if they are equal or not, but if they are actually the same object. So we are trying to identify using this is operator if they are actually the same object. So we are identifying x and z, whether they are same object or not, x and y whether they are same object or not. The x and y have same value, we can easily see that. What we don't know the answer of this, and then we are trying to check whether x equal to y is actually uh, same or not, that means values are same or not. So let's check, just run this particular code. uh, so you can see the result is x is z. So what I have said that if they are the same object, so is returning true. That means it considers x and z to be the same object. So what we were not expecting that, we are expecting that x, the copy or the value of this x will be copied to z, but that is not happening here. Whenever you have an object and you assign that object to another variable or another identifier, so what is happening here? It creates a alias of that particular object. That means it just gives another label to this particular object. Uh, so they are actually pointing to the same location or pointing to the same object. So z and x are actually same. Whereas x and y have same value, but they are not same. That means the objects are not same. So x is y, that is actually false. Whereas x is equal to y, it actually checks for the equality. So it will check the content of these two variables. So x and y are same, or the content of x and y are same. That's why it is returning true. So I guess you have the idea of how these things are happening. Like is checking the equality, and equal is actually the operator that is checks for the values, whether they are matched or not. So isn't there any way to actually copy the value? It should be the answer. So there is a way to copy the value of another object to a new one. So a is equal to x dot copy. So you have to use this particular method. And now if you want to check whether they are same object or not, so you can do that, x and a. So now you can see that, so this is false. That means now we are assured that this particular x is not same as a. That means whatever modification you are doing in a will not be available in x, but in case of z, that was not the case. So you can use this copy method to actually uh, create a copy of a particular object. Now I will show you another thing. So what I did, x dot, uh, and a menu type of thing popped up, and where you can see some texts are written. So append, clear, copy, count, extend, index, sort, pop, remove, reverse sort. So all these are actually built-in functions. So as you can see, you can move using your keyboard, and also you can move into this eye location to look into the details of these functions. So there are two different colors you may notice in some variables as well. So in this particular variable, we don't see two different colors. We only see one purple color. But in some cases, you might see blue color as well. So blue colors defining the object, sorry, data members. That means they doesn't need those parentheses, and this purple color actually representing functions. That's why you need those parentheses or some argument on that value. So to distinguish methods from data members, we have two different colors. One is purple color and another one is blue color. So you might see the blue color option in the later in this class as well. So you can try this not in or in by yourself, or I can give a simple example of this not in. So what we can do, so it checks for membership facility. So suppose we have s is equal to hello. So what it returns, so print, suppose I want o, o in s. So if o is present in s, so if O is present in S, it should return true, else it will return false. So as you can see, true, because O is actually present in this list. So suppose find this A. So this is false because A is not present in this particular word. So this particular operations are for membership. So in is actually returning true if that particular value on the left side is on the right side, or right side token, or right side text. So this particular in will work on everything in the sense this type of data, like all the sequence type of data, list, tuple. It might also work on this dictionary and set as well. So you have to check it by yourself. So just create a particular variable of that type, and you can check it yourself that on which type of variables this particular things are working. So generally in any sequence, this membership operator generally works. So not in will return actually true when that particular item on the left hand side is not present in that particular list. Suppose if we put a not in here, so it will return true now because this is the reverse of in. So it is not in. The same. So now let's move into one of the important concept of or constructions of any programming language, that is conditional statements. So now we have only the if else conditional statement. So in previous programming languages like C, C++, Java, you have learned that there are two different type of sequencing or conditional statements. One is a single way, one is multi-way. You have to handle single way, you have if else if else, whereas in case of multi-way branching, you have if else if, actually the ladder, and then also you have one dedicated structure to multi-way branching, that is switch case. So that switch case option is not available here, but also there is a different techniques how you can actually use the feature of switch case by yourself. So those techniques are available, so I am not going to cover those techniques because you can learn it from anywhere. So I am just concerning about the basics. So we will learn if, else if, else, and these things, like how we can actually use those conditional statements. So I'm trying to quickly wrap this basic part so that we can move into the digital image processing part so quickly. So if you don't understand at any point, just prompt me. I will explain in brief. So to so one more important thing in this all these examples, I have not mentioned about one thing, that is indent. What is indentation? Indentation means organizing your program or writing your program with proper alignment. So uh, Python, so if some of you or anyone doesn't like to code like this, like maintaining this spaces in between the blocks or whatever it is, so so Python is not good for you at all, because Python doesn't depend on um, uh, we have already learned that Python doesn't depend on the semicolons to track the end of the statement. So it depend, or it recognizes the characters that are placed everywhere. Or also it recognizes the spaces as well. So it recognizes the enter to denote end of statement. So similarly, it actually recognizes the indent to denote the start and end of a block. So similarly, in case of all the statements or all the blocks, we are never going to use those second brackets, opening and closing parentheses. So what we can do, or what we have to do, we have to maintain a indent. that is a tab character. So here a tab character. So we have to maintain that indent, else your program is not going to run at all. So let's comment everything here. Let's comment everything. And now look at this particular example. So we have two variables a and b. So a is 33 and b is 20. So the statement is something like this: if then condition uh, followed by a colon, and then after enter you have to put a indent. This is must. If you don't put an indent, the program will never run. And then whatever statement you want to execute in this particular indentation. So this is the basic structure of any if in case of Python. Very simple, similar to the concepts are very similar to the other if you have used. The syntax is just different, where we don't use any parentheses, or we don't use any brackets, second brackets. Also, we don't use any semicolon. And we have a new structure, so we have to follow that indent. If we don't follow this indent, Python will not recognize that this particular statement is under this if block, or something like this. So let's run this. So what will be the output? So a is equal to 33, b is equal to 200. So b greater than a. So b is greater than a. That will be the output actually. So as you can see, b greater than a is the output. So I have already said, please ignore this text because they are the commented part. And whenever we write something within this three quotes, it is recognized by the compiler but completely ignores whatever task is written on that particular block. This is the basic structure of E. So for your sake of knowledge, so you can see if I remove this indent, you will receive an error, that is indentation error. So Python is very much indentation dependent programming language. If you don't maintain this indent, your program will not work. That's why I always told in my classes in C, C++, or Java, whatever class I have taken, uh, I always say that maintain this indent, maintain the structure of the program, because in high level programming, you don't have those bases to cover up for your mistakes. You have to make or write programs very cleanly. Now just remove this part. Just put it here. One second. So we used to have if, else, if here. So else if is shortcutted to elif, so that you don't have to write the whole thing. So elif is another keyword that is used to define else if situation. So the remaining part of the thing is same, only the syntax is different from other programming languages. So if b greater than a, printf b is greater than a, else a equal to b. So let's make it a equal to b. So 200. So this statement will not execute because we have this. So just remove this, just run it. So what will be the result? It will be a and b are equal. So as you can see, a and b are equal. So similarly, so we have learned if else if. Now obviously the next part will be the else. So just comment it out. So this. So this is again similar. If condition colon indent, whatever statements you want, you can add as many as statement you want. That is not a problem. Just whenever you tap the backspace from the indent, it will recognize that that is the end of this if block. So then else if and then else with again the same type of syntax. without any condition. এক second. হ্যালো, হ্যাঁ 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 হ্যাঁ, আমি 8 থেকে বলছি। একটু পরে ফোন করা যাবে কি, বা কালকে ফোন করা যাবে কি? আমি একটু ক্লাস নিচ্ছি তো। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, কালকে কালকে সকালের দিকে ফোন করুন, 10টার দিকে। হুম হুম হুম, ঠিক আছে। So again the same syntax. Now just make something small, say 20. So the result will be this else part. A is greater than B. Uh, so this covers the if else part. So now we have some shorthand as well. Python supports this type of statements as well. So if A greater than B, you just don't press the enter. If you have single line, you can just write the line as it is. So something like this. If A greater than B, print A is greater than B. So as you can see, if I execute this, it will print A is greater than B, because uh, the value we have given, A is greater than B. Uh, again, we have this ternary operator or conditional expression so in case of C++ and Java, we used to have a ternary operator that looks like something like this. A colon B, sorry, A question mark B colon C. So what was that? If A is true, the answer will be B, else the answer will be C. So similar thing is here provided by the if else directly. So what we can do, look at this particular structure. This is very much interesting and different from rest of the cases. So here the output will be given first. So print A. So it is similar to the English reading. So print A if A greater than B, else print B. So the meaning is same. Print A. So A will be printed if A is greater than B, else B will be printed. So let's try this particular statement. So this time A is greater than B. So the result will be obviously A. So as you can see, the result is A. Similarly, if we make it bigger, so A is greater than, now B is greater than A now, so the result will be B. So as you can see. So this is very interesting and very useful. So many times you can use this particular type of statement in your programming practices. So this is very much interesting. Uh, this is very much interesting concept to learn. Uh, so just with this and this. So this is basically if else if type of thing. So print A if A greater than B, else print uh, equal to if A equal to B, else print B. So this is the this latter version. So print if this, else print this. Uh, that means a combination of if else. So this is the combination actually, if condition else, if condition else. So before if the statement, if this particular condition is true, will be there. Else uh, or after this else, the statements or the statement that will be executing if this A equal to B is false will be there. So if we run it, so as you can see that B is the answer because this value is bigger. And now move into this iteration. So unlike C, C++, Java, we don't have three different type of iteration. Rather, we have two different type of iteration, like the while loop and the for loop only. In case of while loop, the structure is same. Again, what is different? The braces, or sorry, rather, the parentheses are missing and the semicolons are missing. Everything is same. Initialization statement, conditional statement, the statements of the body of the loop, and the incremental or decremental statement, or the change in the step value. So similar to what you have already learned. So just I am writing or running this particular code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, as I less than 6 is here. So if I put I less than equal to 6, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Similarly, we have a break statement that can be used. So as you can see, we are printing I. So whenever I is equal to 3, we are going to just break. So this is again same as C, C++, Java. So I am not going into the details. So this is how you can actually write while loop with the break. Yes, yes.
ইফ এর একটু লাস্টেরটা দেখাবে
এটা না
না না ইফ
if এটা
হ্যাঁ এই ইকুয়ালস টুটা কিসের জন্য
কোন equal to
এই যে প্রিন্ট ডবল কোটেশনের মধ্যে ইকুয়ালস টু
আরে equal to printing means if a equal to b print equal মানে they are equal মানে শর্ট নোটেশনে লিখছি মানে a and b are equal এটা শর্ট নোটেশনে লিখছি যে they are equal actually
আচ্ছা
that's why equal
হ্যাঁ
এটা just print statement. So whatever inside the print statement, whatever inside the double quote inside print statement is a string. So that doesn't take any part in the logical or logic of that particular expression. So they just act like a constant. Uh, Similarly, we have continuous statement. So in this particular case, I will sorry, I equal to 3 will be skipped, or rather, if I equal to 3, it will be skipped. So let's take a look at this example. Yeah. So 1, 2, and 3. So whenever this 3, so printing is done after this continuous statement. That's why whenever the value of I is 3, it will continue to the next iteration. Uh, so look at this particular thing. So in case of break, we have the print statement at the beginning. That's why after printing 3, it has break out of the loop. Whereas in case of continue, we have the print statement at the end. That's why in case of continue statement, we have skipped this particular 3 value. So if we have suppose this statement at the
দাদা ব্রেকেটটা একবার দেখাও আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে
wait. So the working of break continue, they are same. One interesting thing, as you might have not seen anywhere in previous programming languages, a new keyword else is introduced with your loops. So this is available for while, as also this is available uh, for as well. So what else does? So whenever this particular condition is false, this particular statement is going to execute. After that, whatever statement you have, so they will be executing. So print, so bye bye. So let's run this particular code. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I is no longer less than 6. So that is printed because after this execution, so sometimes it may require after some iteration, we might require some operations to be performed. So in that particular case, this particular thing is helpful. So suppose what happens if you use it here? Can anyone predict what might happen? So can anyone predict what might happen here? Then also we have some
কাজ হবে না মনে হয়।
print bye bye. So what should be the output of this particular code?
এলস পার্টটাতে তো যাবেই না,
Why?
কারণ কি while কন্ডিশনে তো দেওয়া আছে যে I is less than 6।
Yes. এখানেও তো তাই ছিল। So here also I is less than 6. Then পুরো লুপটা কমপ্লিট হওয়ার
break
পর
করে
এলস কন্ডিশনটাতে গিয়ে then bye bye. So 1 2 3 4 5
ওখানে
6
ব্রেক
then
চলে আসছে ওই জন্য
so
তো ব্রেক করে
this else will execute if the iteration, all the iterations are successful. That means whenever we reach this particular condition to be false. So just run this particular code. So as you can see 1 2 3 bye bye. That means from this particular example we can see that all the iterations are not completed. So if in some cases we need to complete all the equations or all the iterations, and after that we have to do some work, and if all the iterations are not performed, then we will do some work. So at that case this type of structure is very helpful. So that is else with your while loop. Any questions regarding if, else if, and while?
No, no দাদা।
Okay, so let's look into this Python loop. So in Python, for loop is very different than we are used to use. So in case of normal processing, like numbers processing or range processing like this, so we have to use this while loop. So there is another way to use for loop as well, but for loop is actually based on these membership functions or membership operators that you have learned here. So this in this particular membership operators, so for loop is based on this membership operations. So just take a look at this example. So we have a list of fruit. So if it is not a list, let's check it. So print. So how we can check the type of a particular variable? What is the method to check a type? Check the type. So these codes are these methods are very important. It will or it is needed in your programs as well. So what is the way to identify what is the type of a particular variable? I don't think I have not discussed it yesterday.
টাইপ বলে একটা ফাংশন আছে।
Yes, so there is a function called type uh, fruits. So as you can see, the type of this particular object is or actually the class of this particular object is fruits, sorry, list. So what for loop does, it actually iterates between the items of this particular list. So what we can write for x in fruits. So fruits is the variable name or that is a list, and x actually any variable. So what it does, it actually starts from this particular item and goes to this particular item one after another. So iterating one after another, it goes from here to here. So x will contain apple at first, then it will contain banana at first, and then it will contain cherry at first. You don't have to write plus plus or whatever it is. It will automatically iterate on this particular list or the items on this particular list. So let's run this particular code. So as you can see that the same thing I was saying, that apple, banana and cherry, so they have been printed. That means x contains the value of this particular uh, items in the list, in the fruit list. Similarly, you can loop through a string as well. So we have a string called banana. So if you want to loop through this string, that is also possible. So as you can see, BANANNA, because print actually prints everything on the next line. That's why you can see in this particular string, you are trying to identify or you are trying to, or you are tracking each characters in this particular string using this for loop. So this is also works if you have a string is equal to BANN and banana, and if you put the variable name here, this will also work in the same way. Sorry, string is oh, sorry. So as you can see, the result is same, and B is the capital one here. So both are same operation. So you can either directly write the list here, or you can have your list in this particular variable. So you can do something like this as well. So if suppose Control C code for item in this list, you can write print len of x. So what we are trying to do here, or rather print uh, like item comma len of item. So that will not x. So as you can see, after the item, we have printed the length of all the items. So apple is 5 length, banana 6, cherry 6. So this is also possible. So not necessarily you have to specify the variable or the container where you have put some list. Rather, you can directly paste or directly use the list as well. Uh, so there is an interesting function that is called range function. So this range, so let's take a look on this range function first. So what it does. So print range 5. Sorry. So it will not print. I have to make it list. Right. আচ্ছা কেউ জানে এটা how to use range without the for loop? It should print. Deep.
শুধু প্রিন্ট করলে হয়ে যাওয়ার কথা।
সেটাই তো আমিও তো তাই জানি যে শুধু প্রিন্ট
এলআইএসটি হতো।
এলআইএসটি হতো না?
হ্যাঁ এলআইএসটি হতো, আপনি এলএসটি দিয়েছিলেন বোধহয়।
আচ্ছা, লেটস ট্রাই ইট, বাট তখনও তো হলো না।
রেঞ্জ লেখার তো কোনো দরকার নেই দাদা, আর লিস্টের সিম্বলটা হবে তো থার্ড ব্র্যাকেট।
Oh yeah. So for printing it we have to convert it, or third bracket দিলেও হবে না? Let's try it.
থার্ড ব্র্যাকেটে দিলেও হওয়ার কথা, কিন্তু ওখানে একটা ব্র্যাকেট মিসিং ছিল।
না, so you have to convert it into the list. আমি এটাই ভাবছিলাম। So list. So what list does, it actually returns a set of values. Okay, so if you put 5 here, it will return 0 to 5. Sorry, rather 0 to 4, like 5 elements. So if you give 6, it will return 0 to 5 actually. Also, we can specify the start and end as well. So in this particular example, we have not specified the start. So start is by default 0. What you can do, you can specify the start. Suppose 4 to 6. So it will be 4 to 6 means not 6, excluding the 6. So it will be 4 and 5 only. So as you can see, a list of 4, 5 is created. So using this kind of statement, so if you want a loop to be iterated from 0 to n, so what you can write 0. Suppose your n is 10. So if you want 0 to n, then you have to put 10 plus 1, because we know that the end will be the end of range minus 1. So 0 to 9. So if you want 0 to 10, you have to put 11. Or if you want 0 to 9, like 10 elements, so you have to put either 0 comma 10 or only 10 as well. So this actually creates a list. So with using that particular example, this particular loop works similarly. So this returns a list of numbers from 0 to 5. So it will print 0 to 5. So as you can see, this has print 0 to 5. So this range function is very useful. So as you can see here, 2 to 6, so it will be 2, 3, 4 and 5. So as you can see, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Similarly, this has 3 arguments. So these functions are very interesting. They are overloaded, or rather they are used default parameters as well. So they are very interesting. So what is happening here? 2 to 30. So we go from 2 to 30. This is the start, this is the end. But in this particular case, we will take a step of 3. We are not going to take the step of 1. That was by default. We are going to take the step of 3. So what is happening here? So as you can see, 2 plus 3, 5 plus 3, 8 plus 3, 11 plus 3, 14 plus 3, 17. So what is happening here? So we are moving plus 3. That means for for x is equal to 2, x less than equal to 30, comma x is equal to x plus 3, something like this. So something like this is happening in this particular case. So range will create these values, and x for all the values in that are in this particular list, x will contain every one of them iteratively, one after another. Similarly, similarly, we have another example. So this is moving forward, right? So what about we want to move backward? That is also possible. So what you can do? So I am not writing the for. I am just printing it. So if you want to print the range, you have to use this list command. So range. So I am starting from 10. I am going towards 1, comma, so minus 1. So minus 1 will reverse your order. So it will iterate from on the negative side. So what is happening here? Let's see. So as you can see, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and again not 1 before 1. So it is minus 2. So similarly, 0. So it will be up to 1. So something like that. So you can either move forward, you can either move backward using this negative or positive sign, or also you can mention whatever the step value is. So you can mention 10 as well. So 0 to 10 at one step. So one value will be there. So you can use this range function to manipulate your for loops, but there is no way to define x is equal to this and this. So for those kind of loops, you have to use the while loops. Then again, else is present in this while loop as well, and you know what is the drill or how this works. If you break out of the loop by any chance, this else will not execute. It will only execute when this range is empty. That means we don't have any more element in this particular range or in this particular list. Then only this particular else part will going to execute. Similarly, we have a situation here where we are going to print or we are going to use a nested loop. So what is happening here? So x is running for this, or y is running for this. So it will be something like this. So a Cartesian product of like this. So for red, everything will be printed. For big, everything will be printed. For tasty, for everything will be printed. So this is how you can use the nested loop as well. Also, there is a special command pass. So if you want your loop to doesn't perform anything, so in C, C++, Java, we sometimes used to count, or generally C and C++, we used to count the number of characters in a string using an empty for loop. So some kind of thing is not possible in case of Java because it is indent based. So you have to maintain the indent to give the instruction that this is the body, and also you can't keep it empty because it cannot understand whether there is an indent or not. So for that we have a special statement pass that denotes that this particular uh, block doesn't do anything. So if you just run this, so as you can see, nothing has happened. So this pass will tell the compiler that this particular block, that means this for block, is doing nothing. So no operation type of thing. So this pass is sometimes required when you want to run a particular block or sorry, a particular for loop or while loop without any body. Also this particular pass works for user defined functions as well. So next we are going to learn how we can write functions as well. So I want to end the basic Python class today only. That's why I will teach all the basics up to the functions, and then we will move into some a little bit of packages that are available and that are useful for you guys, and then we will move into the maybe in the next session or next class we will move into the digital image processing part, how to read an image and all these things. uh, so let me open the function classes or function class. So this one, I guess. So anyone has any question on this part? You have to practice it. That's it. These concepts are very simple. This is very much simple.
দাদা
Yes.
বলছিলাম ওই যে রেঞ্জ দিয়ে যেমন 0 থেকে 10 পর্যন্ত প্রিন্ট করাচ্ছেন এক গ্যাপ করে, আমি ধরুন কোনো একটা লিস্ট প্রিন্ট করতে চাই, একটা করে বাদ যাবে, এখানে তো জায়গাটা আমার নম্বর গুলো প্রিন্ট হচ্ছে 0 1 2 3 4, আমি যদি কোনো একটা লিস্ট প্রিন্ট করবো এই রেঞ্জ ইউজ করে কেমন করে
Okay. I got your question. So let's do it. So again, you have to use your brain. So suppose you have a list. So lst has some element. Suppose I am using the range command to have some element. So as that will be the fastest way rather than writing all the elements. So list range. Okay, so let's print the list first of all. So as you can see, we have 20 elements, 0 2 3. So suppose they are so I am using example of numbers because this will faster. You can have any type of element. So different type of elements are also allowed in this particular list. Like I will show you. So list dot append, suppose hello. So if you print the list, so as you can see that the next item after 19 is hello now. So you can append anything. You can append another list as well, I guess. So they have added as a list. So as you can see, this append function added this particular entity as a list. So now you have all the integers, then as well as a list inside a list. So this way you can have different type of elements in a single list as well. So inside a list you can have a set. Inside a set, I don't think you can have a list. So a list is basically a heterogeneous data type, a collection of heterogeneous data type. And one more interesting thing, you have learned so far so many things, so many type of data types and all these things. I have never used the term array anywhere because we don't have a concept of array in case of Python. So Python, the basic Python, the basic Python compiler doesn't provide any concept of Python, but there is a way to handle the array. So we will learn it in the next class. That is an advanced topic we are going to move into in the next class. So in today's class, we are going to just cover the basics. So up to the function part, because I don't think there is anything more needed of any programming language or basics of programming language. Then further, you want, if you want to learn, you can go to any website to learn all the other necessary things in case of Python. But I don't think to learn a programming language there is any more need to learn any other concept rather than variables, data types, conditional statements, iterations, and the functions. So the question was how we can iterate inside a range, inside a list while skipping one element. So what we can do for item in, so supposedly we have a list. So we don't know what is the size of the list. So what we can do, range of len of lst, comma 2. By default, we move using range by one value, but in this case, we will move by two values. So let's print it. So print item. Just okay. Okay. Print len of lst. Yeah, it is 21. Then just print this.
স্যার স্টেপ অপারেশনটা থার্ডে হয়, ফার্স্টে হচ্ছে স্টার্টিং ইন্ডেক্স,
Oh yeah,
তারপরে
yeah,
এন্ড ইন্ডেক্স।
yeah. So we have to give the step. We have to give the start, right? So 0, comma. So I was thinking that we are giving 3 actually. So we have to mention the start whenever we are going to use the step value. Or there is another way. If we can mention this, so so there is, yeah, you can mention the step. So step is equal to 2 is something like this we have to mention. So we have to mention end is equal to, so we have to mention end is equal to this, and then step is equal to this. So there are different ways to represent this. So as you can see, 0 to 2 without or in the step of 2. So as you can see, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and as we have 21 elements, so that's why hello is not printed. So if you start from 1 to this, so hello will be printed. What? So len plus 1 হবে. What is this? Oh, so we are printing the item. We have to print the list of item. Yeah, it can't find the last index because I have given a more index, I guess. So this is it. So these are the list elements. So at the beginning we are printing actually the items itself. So we are printing the range itself. To print the items, we can access the items using this list.item. So consider this as an index inside this list. Clear? So we are going to the functions again. So this is the basic function, or this is a simple function definition. So we don't have any function data, function prototype, anything like that. To define a function, we have to use the keyword def. We have to use the keyword def followed by the function name and this braces. Uh, so they denotes that this particular name is a function. Again, we don't use this second brackets. So indent will be the declaration of the blocks. So this is our first function. So just execute it. So to define a function, we have to use def keyword followed by the function name and followed by this braces or first brackets basically, and then you can put a semicolon and enter with the indent. You write the body of this function. So this is our function definition of simple function, and then just call this function. To call this function, we are going to use the same technique in any other programming languages we used to use. That is, just execute it. So as you can see, it has printed hello from a function. So we have called this particular function, and this has printed this. So functions with single arguments. So here we know that the concept of data types or declaring a particular variable with a particular data or associating a particular data is not available here. So generally whenever we put something enclosed within a quote is a string. So just look at this particular function, greeting function, where we have given argument name. So the argument name is name, and we have not specified anything. Now inside the body we have accessed that particular variable with a message. So OIO. So do you know what do you mean by this OIO? I don't think anyone knows it. It is a Japanese language, means good morning. So what we are going to do, we are going to call this function's greeting with a particular variable, suppose or value, suppose, or someone's name, suppose Rimon, or suppose one. So what is happening here? We are passing this elements as this particular variable, and it is printed via this particular line. So that is how you can pass arguments. So as easy, as simple as you can see here. So the output is OIO, Rimon, OIO, OIO. And as we already know that separator is a space, that's why there is a space between here. So we can change the separators as well. So this is how a single argument can be passed inside a function. Difficult or very easy or not understandable? Anything? Any question about this declaring function, calling a function, and sending a single argument inside a function? This is as simple as it looks. It doesn't look difficult as well, and it is actually doesn't, or it is actually not difficult. This is very easy. So next, moving to this multiple arguments. So here we have sent multiple arguments, one as a suppose integer, another one as a string. So as you can see, uh, Remon and 29 and 27 suppose. So the output is 29, 27, Remon as well. So as many variables as we want, we can send. There is no limit on the number of variables, and the type is also doesn't matter here. You can send a list, you can send a set, you can send a dictionary, or whatever the data type is. It doesn't care at all. You have to handle by the function definition whatever argument or whatever type of variable is coming towards you. So it depends on what is happening inside the function, and depending on that the variables or sorry, the arguments may work. Okay, so if you don't have any idea how many number of arguments you are going to send, so what you can do, you can use a statement like star args. So this is similar to the pointers in case of C++ thing, but these are not actually pointers. It actually a different thing. So using this kind of structure, using this star with a variable name, you can have any number of arguments within a particular function. So as you can see, we have written this particular function definition class star kids. So I want to know how many number of children are there. So number of children is equal to len kids. So you can print it as well. So suppose print uh, number of children, number, so there will be a comma. Actually childs bole kichu hoy na. So okay, whatever it is. So number of children is number of children. So we want to print number of children. So here we will give the name of the children, and we want to know the number of children as well as who is the youngest among them. So to find out the youngest among them, what we are going to do, we are going to identify the last one. So how can we identify the last one? So if you have passed an array array of elements or a list of elements, so what we can do, the index starts from 0 to n minus 1, so it ends at n minus 1. So the n minus 1 is the actual the smallest key, suppose. So here we have passed or we have called this children function with three different type of arguments or three different number of arguments. One having three arguments, another one is four arguments, and another one is one argument. So let's run this particular program, and you will see number of children is 3. So suppose so we can assure that this particular function has sent these three arguments very much successfully. That's why we can access this particular file, that particular variable. So number of children is 3. The youngest child is Linus. So as you can see, Linus was the last one to be sent. So that's why he is the youngest child. Similarly, in the next case, we have number of children is 4. So
Sir,
youngest one is
কিডস
Emmanuel.
কি করে নিল বুঝলাম না।
কিডস কি করে নিল মানে? So
কিডস
এটা
তো
লিস্ট হিসেবে কি পাস হচ্ছে? মানে আমি নরমাল হচ্ছে যখন স্টার কিডস দিয়ে করছি বা স্টার আর্কস দিয়ে করছি, তখন কি যা কিছু দেবো সেটা লিস্ট হিসেবেই নেবে?
yes, that is the concept of this. This is arbitrary number of arguments. This is arbitrary number of arguments. You can send any number of arguments and can catch that particular argument with a single variable, and you can access them using their indexes. So this is index 0 with this kids variable, index 1, index 2, index 0, 1, 2, 3, index 0. So you can send any number of arguments using this particular variable, and they are not a list, they form a list inside here. So that is different principle. You can also have this kind of architecture as well. So let me distinguish between them. So you can have এক সেকেন্ড না। হ্যালো, হ্যাঁ এক সেকেন্ড। So let's have a sorry. So let's have a look at this particular example. Suppose example passing beast. So suppose here is my list variable. Number of items. So don't make the same mistake. Print I. Okay. So suppose this is a variable sorry, this is a function and call this function as passing least. So here we have to put a list. Suppose, hello, 1, 5, world. So we have not printed the number of elements. So print number of
স্যার প্রিন্টের পর একটা 1 ঢুকে গেছে।
কোথায়? আচ্ছা, দেখে নিচ্ছি। Number of elements is number of items. So as you can see, number of elements are 4. But tell me one thing, what is the difference between this particular statement or this particular call and this particular call? What is the difference? Here also we have 4 different values that has been passed to this particular function. Here also we have 4 different values that has been passed to this particular function. But is there any difference?
ফার্স্ট এটা লিস্ট হিসেবে পাঠানো হচ্ছে না, সেকেন্ড এটা অ্যাজ ইট ইজ লিস্ট, টোটাল লিস্টটা পাঠানো হচ্ছে।
No, that is not the case here. Here we have only sent one variable. This is one variable. This had been captured by one particular variable. List is itself a single variable. But here we have sent comma separated different variables.
Multiple variables.
So we have sent different variables, comma separated. That means we have sent not variables. We have sent different arguments. Like we have sent 4 arguments. We have sent 3 arguments. But here, because we have put this particular case here, so this is a single argument.
ওকে, হ্যাঁ, গ্রুপিংটা সিঙ্গেল হচ্ছে এখানে।
So as I have removed this third bracket is, so it cannot parse it as a list. So this input expecting 1 element, I am sending 5 elements. Okay, but this will not be the case if I am calling it as, say, children. So if I am calling it as children, so as you can see, number of children are 4. The youngest one is the world. So have you get the difference? So this is 4 different arguments. This is 3 different arguments. And if I am sending a list, we are actually sending one single argument.
মানে মাল্টিপল পাঠাতে গেলে স্টার লাগাতে হবে।
So if we want to send multiple arguments, so this star is very useful. So then we have another option called keyword arguments. So what is a keyword argument? So you put some value, children 3, children 2, children 1, something like this. Okay. Now print the youngest child is suppose children 3. So this is supposed to be the youngest child. So now what you can do, you can have many different ways. So you, in case of previous programming languages C, C++, Java, you cannot change the order of the argument. But Python lets you change the order of the argument. So what we have here, let's see. So my function child 1 is equal to this, child 3 is equal to this, child 2 equal to this, child 3 equal to this, child 1 equal to this, child 2 equal to this, and child 2 equal to this, child 1 equal to this, child 3 equal to this. Now let's look at the child 3's. So child 3 is here, child 3 is here, and child 3 is here. So, but in case of this particular example, child 3 is here, right, at the first. So if we run this, it will execute correctly, and also it will recognize the child 3 correctly as well. So in case of first call, Tobias is the first or youngest child, that is child 3. So that is here. Then Emil, and then Linus. So as you can see, we have 3 different young child depending on the inputs we have. So you can reorder or you can rearrange the arguments if you are going to use this argument name or keyword as equal to operation. So keyword equal to the value, if you put it something like this, you can change the order at your own will. So you can change the order as well. So বোঝা গেছে? So how you can change the order? So this is how we actually use separator, end. So whatever. So we are mentioning the keyword that is used in that particular function print. So sep is equal to this means that that particular separator keyword will be triggered by that particular value. Similarly, end will trigger that particular value. So that is how you can reorder your arguments if you are going to use this keywords equal to operation or keyword equal to the value operation. This is similar to the SQL queries as well. So field এর মধ্যে data entry করার জন্য দুটো ওয়ে ছিল, একটা হচ্ছে field is equal to the value or একটা হচ্ছে সিকোয়েন্সটা মেনটেন করে দেওয়া. So similar thing, similar type of thing, I guess. And so we have learned arbitrary number of arguments, keyword arguments. Now combining those two techniques together, we have arbitrary keyword argument. So you can use k work. So generally they use this particular term. So I have changed that particular term into this particular variable. So this is a generalized term. You can use anything or any name, whatever you want. So what is happening here? So we put two stars, and this let us give the argument name at the time of calling the function. So here we have not put any argument name, so we have given star kids, and in this particular calling, my function call, we have set the names. So f name equal to this, l name equal to this, and so on. So this is the arbitrary keyword arguments. That means keywords will be used arbitrarily with many number of arguments. So this lets you give the function as many number of arguments as you want, and you can manipulate those values using these keywords. So as I have oh sorry, so they will work as an index. So these arguments will work as an index on this kid variable actually. So as we can see, his last name is kid last name. So the last name, whatever the last name is, Refsenes, I guess. So Refsenes has been shown. So if you want to access the first name, so what you can do, just you can put the index first name here. So string is actually working as an index as well. So this f name is considered to be as, yes.
ডবল স্টার কি দিয়ে রেখে যে ডবল স্টারটা আছে?
Oh, so double star, that actually represents this arbitrary keywords, arbitrary number of arguments, single star. And when we have arbitrary number of keywords, then we put a double star. That is the
Okay.
convention. That is the convention of this function, or this is how this particular function works. So whenever you put double star some argument, that means you can have any number of arguments. Also you can have any name, arbitrary name or arbitrary keyword for those values, and you can use those values like this. Okay. Then we have a default parameter. So if you don't pass a parameter, the default value will be executed. If you pass a parameter, the default value will not be executed. So similarly, if you run this, so as you can see, we have not passed anything here. So Norway has been printed, that was provided default. And in other cases, so these things are again similar to C, C++, Java. You can use these keywords like this as well. Like if you have if your first variable is suppose a default parameter variable, then you can use this parameterized way or a keyword way to send the value arbitrarily to that particular function. Passing a list, so I guess I have already shown this to you, how we can pass a list. So we have created so we have created this example, then we have modified it. So it is better here we have again how we can pass a list. Now returning a value. So returning value is very simple. Use the return keyword. It will return everything. And the concept is same. If your function is returning some value, you have to capture that value either using a variable or you can directly print it. So I have here in this particular case, I have printed everything. So as you can see, so 5 multiplied by 3, that is 15, 5 multiplied by 5, that is 25, 5 multiplied by 9, that is 45. So why I am not explaining in details, because you know this concept. So concepts are clear. You just want to know the syntax, how this syntax are working. So this is how you can return value. Another interesting thing is that so we know this concept, right? A comma b is equal to 5 comma 2. We know this concept, right? This is actually valid, and the value of 5 will be assigned to a and value of 2 will be assigned to a. Similarly, we can have a function that returns multiple values as well, and they actually returns as a tuple. So multi return, suppose. So what I am going to do, I am going to take x and I'm going to return x to the power 2 comma x to the power 3 comma x to the power to the power 4. So as you can see, it executed perfectly. That means the code is perfectly right. Now just call this particular function. So multi return. So give the value 2. So either you can print it. So let's print it directly. Let's see what is happening. X. Where is capital X? Where is capital X? So as you can see, it returns as a tuple, 486 as a tuple. So what you can do, you can have 3 variables a, b, and c to capture this tuple as well. So multi return, suppose 3, and then print a comma b comma 3. So as you can see, 92781. So this is how it works actually. So this concept is called unpacking. Uh, so there are two concepts, packing and unpacking. You can pack some variables into a tuple. You can unpack them using this kind of structure. Uh, so you can return any number of values from a function, but they are not actually any number of values. They are actually one single tuple that is being returned. So this is returned as a tuple. So this is a tuple. So if you want to check what is the return type, you can just write type with the return value here. So you will see the return type from this particular uh, return function is a tuple. It is returning multiple values, but actually it is returning one single tuple. That's why you can return multiple values from a function. Okay. Any questions from this function section? Because this is very much important. Function is very much important because you are going to write functions for your tasks. You input some image, you create a matrix of that particular image, you apply your function. That means you are going to send a particular matrix on that particular function, and it will give you your desired result. So function, you have to write functions only. So if you have any questions, just ask me. Any questions relating to function, just ask me. I don't think anyone have any questions. So again, the same concept, pass to define a function that is empty. like a function that doesn't do anything. So sometimes in case of implementation of class objects, inheritance, we might need some functions that doesn't do anything. In that case, you can use this pass keyword to create functions that doesn't do anything. And I am leaving this recursion for to yourself because you know the concept how to define a function, you know how recurrence or recursion is working. So just try it yourself that how you can use the concept of recursion to print suppose n numbers, uh, uh, to print natural numbers up to n, to find out the Fibonacci series, to find the factorial of a number. So you can try it yourself. So I'm not explaining how recursion actually works. So you can learn it by yourself without taking the help of any uh, internet or book. You can just learn it, or you can try it by yourself. So this is the end of the basics of Python, or rather the variable derives, conditional statements, sequential statements, iterative statements, and the functions. I hope that you have learned some basics about the Python language. I hope so. And in the next class, we will talk about some advanced, uh, actually packages. So they are called NumPy, Panda, and all those things. Also you can write very good file programming as well in case of using this Python as well. Well, you can try it. You will find any code in the internet. So file program is also possible and very easy. So file program is similar to C actually. So the syntax you will see in this Python for file programming is similar to C, like the concept of R plus, W, A, like those are called uh, file modifiers. So similar type of things are here as well. And using Panda, what we do, we actually manage data sheets or data frames actually, like Excel sheets, CSV files, and all those things. So we are going to use Panda in the next class, and as well as to manipulate arrays, we have NumPy array package. So that helps in managing uh, arrays in Python, because basic Python doesn't have the support of array. Throughout the classes, two classes, I have not mentioned array once. We have list, tuple, dictionary, string, but we don't have any the concept of array. So we will learn that, because array is actually what you are going to manipulate in case of image processing, because all the images are uh, uh, say whatever the value is, suppose n cross n image, so it is a n cross n image matrix that has some intensity values. If it is a gray image, it has only one matrix. If it is a that means it is a two-dimensional matrix. If it is a color image, it is a three-dimensional matrix. The third dimension being the colors, different colors. Like it is a collection of three two-dimensional matrices. That's why it is a three-dimensional matrix. So we are going to learn how to take input image, how to print those images, and all those things in the next class. Okay. So anyone have any questions on this functions part, because this is important? If not, then we can end the session here.